more information, visit brickcity.com and use promo code RADIO to save 10% on your tickets. Seats are limited, so visit...
All right, 21 minutes after 8 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. Dan Jones is on the phone. We've had Dan with us before. He's a guy who helps me understand some of the things in history that actually help me understand things that are happening today. Does that make sense? Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Dan is a researcher as well as an historian. I guess those things go hand in hand. His new book is called Crusaders, The Epic History of the Wars for the Holy Lands. Let's find out about the book. Good morning, Dan. Thank you for coming on the air with us again. Good to have you back.
Good morning, Larry. It's great to be back. Thank you.
Yeah, this is an awesome book. I mean, there's a lot of research in this. And were you able to research it in ways like outside the box, for lack of a better way to ask that?
Well, I guess the best way to go outside the box is to go to the places that you're writing about. So I spent some time out in Jerusalem because, of course, the story of the Crusades takes us, always back to Jerusalem. So I was out there for some time last autumn, and that was absolutely amazing. I think what you get when you go to Jerusalem today is still a sense of what it must have been like back then. Like 800 years ago. It's kind of just an amazing place.
And is it intensely held beliefs that causes the Muslims and the Christians and the Jews to always kind of be at each other's throats, literally? Or is it something different than that?
I think it's a combination of things. I think, belief is obviously a huge part of it, and, the story of the Crusades starts in the Middle Ages, a society that's, even more fanatically religious than some parts of the world still are today. But there's also a huge amount of, pragmatic human stuff going on there as well. It's about money, it's about trade,
That's
it's
what
about
I always think,
the best pieces of land. Yeah. I think, and you've got to see the intersection between those things. Like the modern parallel is, how we think about the Second Gulf War, and people, was it about oil? Was it about democracy? Was it about faith? Was it about geopolitics? It was about all of those things, right? They all roll into each other, and the world hasn't changed that much since the Middle Ages.
Yeah.
It's always been like a complex place.
I always think that the people who want the wars, the people who don't actually fight them, are using things that we feel emotional about, like God or money or land or oil or freedom. And the truth is, it's about power or money for the people who will actually be the winners when it's all done.
Yeah, look, I think, let's be slightly cynical for a minute. I think smart leaders over the whole course of human history have always known how to mobilize, massive amounts of people, and things like faith have always been, used or probably a better term is misused and abused in order to get ordinary people on side with policies that actually might not be in their interest. Like, I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but this is just the way the world is. People, smart leaders know how to manipulate people, right?
Yeah, but I mean, as far as the definition of conspiracy, it's exactly what it is.
Well, it depends. Look, you've got to take it case by case. I mean, I'm not a big conspiracy theorist in the sense that I think most of the times, conspiracy theories are so improbable that it'd be way too difficult to carry off, and that most, bad things in history can usually be explained better by partial knowledge, human sort of folly, mistakes being made, people trying desperately to cover their tracks. I see history as really quite messy, and I think conspiracy theory is always suspiciously tidy.
Mm-hmm. Take us back to the Middle Ages, because it is unusual that Christians and Muslims had no problem with each other until that period in time.
Well, I think the thing is, before that period of time, it hadn't been defined solely in the case of religion. So if you look at all the chroniclers of the time, both the Islamic chroniclers and the Christian chroniclers, they say, all around the Western world at this point, there were flashpoints between Christian powers and Muslim powers. You saw it in Spain, where there was Muslim and Christian powers kind of fighting each other, in Sicily, in the Middle East, other areas around the Mediterranean. This was happening. But it wasn't because one side was Christian and one side was Muslim. It was because these were incidental to the wars that are being fought. What changes during the Crusades is that the wars become about religion, and it's about killing people because they are of another religion, and less because they have a bunch of land or a river or a port or or whatever it is that you want.
And you do have different perspectives in your book. You talk about the friars and their journey, the popes. You even have some princesses in there and poets. And gosh, you cover the gamut there, so we can understand it from all sides.
Yeah, and the book is called Crusaders and not the Crusades for a reason, and that reason is because I've told it's a series of stories told by people who are involved from all sides. I really wanted to get away from just telling this story through like the kind of Richard the Lionheart Templar Knight kind of vision, and show that there is a story here to be told about Latin Christians, Armenian Christians, Greek Christians, Syrian Christians, but also Sunni and Shia Muslims, Arabs, Turks, Kurds, princesses, princes, peasants, paupers, I could go on and on and on. And this is a book that's about that whole range of people, showing us how these wars in the Middle Ages touched everybody in society.
The book is doing really well on Amazon. In fact, I think the audiobook is listed as number one. Yeah, it is. It's number one. The audiobook is number one. Are you the narrator?
I am the narrator, yes.
Oh, awesome. And it's currently number one. So it's available as Kindle, audiobook, hardcover, and paperback. And you were kind enough to send us a hardcover. So if I have a listener who would like the book that was sent to us, you'll have to call me. They can call on that line, right, Rob?
Yes.
Okay, you can call me at the normal line, 622-9622.
You also have in your book as to how the Crusades sort of paved the way for exploring and also exploring the Americas.
Yeah, and this is a huge part of the story. Look, you get 1492, the end of the medieval Crusades. In Spain, the last Muslim ruler of a Spanish kingdom leaves and hands over his palace, the Alhambra, to two Christian rulers. Right, in the crowd on that day, watching this is Christopher Columbus, and then we know what else he did in 1492. He crosses the Atlantic, first encounters the New World. When he comes back from the New World, he writes to these new Christian monarchs of Spain and says, "You're never going to guess what I've just found." And all of the energies of the Crusades, and this is conscious on Columbus's part, all the energies of the Crusades, which had headed east out of Europe towards Jerusalem in the Middle East, are suddenly turned west across the Atlantic. And I think that is a major pivot point in history, from the Crusading era to the age of exploration and the beginning of history in the Americas as we know it in the modern period.
So is it fair to say, and forgive me if it's not, but is it fair to say that the arrogance against the Native Americans was basically the same arrogance that was causing the Crusades?
It definitely springs from the same place. It definitely springs from the same place. Everything, what you see in that period in American history is all coming out of 400 years of crusading history. This is the foundation for all of those attitudes that were exported to all the Americas.
Yeah. So the idea that enslaving or killing people who don't believe the same way you do was kind of acceptable back in those days.
Yeah, in the Crusades, St. Bernard of Clairvaux, the guy who masterminded the beginnings of the Templar Knights, one of the greatest Christian theologians and thinkers of the Middle Ages, when he was talking about pagan people in Europe, he said there's only two things you can do with them. They need to be converted or deleted, right? And that's harsh language, but that's what he says, converted or deleted.
Yeah.
Same principles exported across the Atlantic, man.
And we hear those kinds of words nowadays as well. All right, let me real quickly give the book away. Good morning, you've got the book. Who's this?
Vernon.
Vernon, you got it. It'll be waiting for you here at the station, okay?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Dan, before we run out of time, I think we already did, but let me just go over a moment. Do you have a website you can tell us about?
I'm all over social media. I'm on Twitter at DG Jones. I'm on Facebook /Dan Jones Historian, and I'm on Instagram as well. You can find me there.
True superstar, Dan. Thank you so much. It's an honor to have you on the show.
Always good talking to you, Larry. Thank you.
We'll be right back.
Later testimony told lawmakers he did not know if that was true. Fox's Jared Halpern on Capitol.
Here is your 1-minute news brief. The driver of an SUV has died after rear-ending a Marion County school bus picking up students for Lake Weir High School yesterday morning on County Road 42. A student boarding the bus was injured and taken to the hospital. President Donald Trump has approved a disaster declaration for Florida in the wake of Hurricane Dorian. The declaration means that federal funding is now available to eligible state and local governments. A legislative panel has sided with Governor Ron DeSantis in removing Broward County Sheriff Scott Israel, who had already been suspended after being accused of mishandling the response to the shooting that killed 17 people. Police say they've removed 3 children and 245 animals from an Edgewater home. A New York man is suing Universal Orlando because his unlimited soda deal did not allow him to fill his cup more than 6 times per hour. And Busch Gardens, Tampa Bay, is celebrating Dia de los Muertos October 31st through November 2nd as part of their Hallow Scream event. And that is your news brief from The Source.
Partly sunny today, will be very warm and humid with a shower or thunderstorm around this afternoon. We'll have a high of 87 to 91. A shower or thunderstorm in spots early on tonight, otherwise mostly cloudy, low 62 to 74. Tomorrow will be a cooler and less humid day with sunshine and some clouds, high 78 to 83. And then the humidity comes right back in on Thursday with clouds and some sun at times. There could be a shower or thunderstorm, high Thursday 84 to 86. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Brian Thompson.
Two Men in a Truck believes every veteran should be recognized on Veterans Day. That's why Movers for Military is teaming up with WOCA to collect essential items to be delivered this Veterans Day to veterans being assisted by Veterans Helping Veterans USA. To donate items, drop them off at the WOCA studios Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. to help in aiding veterans and their families in crisis. This announcement has been brought to you by your friends at WOCA News Talk, The Source.
Welcome back to autumn. The weather is cooling off and the leaves will turn colors. At Palm Garden of Ocala, autumn is celebrated with special activities and cold weather menus, even pumpkin spice. But they do not celebrate fall. At Palm Garden, fall can represent pain and injury. If you have fallen and need short-term rehab, Palm Garden is your best choice. During autumn, the only thing that should fall are leaves. Palm Garden is located on the corner of Southwest 27th Avenue and 34th Street.
Listen up. The 12th Annual Fall Palatka Bluegrass Festival is November 7th, 8th, and 9th at the Roadheaver Boys Ranch, 380 Boys Ranch Road in Palatka. Showtimes are noon to 10 p.m. each day, featuring Rhonda Vincent, the Gibson Brothers, the Cleverleys, and many more. Adult tickets start at $40 with children under 7 free with a parent. For more information, visit adamsbluegrass.com or call 706-864-7203. It's a fun event for the whole family. Good food and good music. Come and join us.
Are you overwhelmed by the complexity of promoting your business online? Do you feel like your business is getting left behind in a world that's changing way too fast? Hi, I'm Michael Warren, co-founder of USA for Sale and Brick City Digital Marketing, and I've got good news for you. I'd like to invite you to a special seminar in Ocala on October 30th. This one-time event will give you the tools you need to succeed in the local digital marketplace. Our team is going to guide you through the process of attracting, gaining, and retaining new clients using smart digital marketing. We're going to keep it simple and give you a plan you can put to work immediately. And as our guest, we're going to give you more than $500 in free promotion with absolutely no obligation. We'll also be offering incredible discounts on digital marketing opportunities you won't get anywhere else. Tickets are just $89 and lunch is included. For more information, visit brickcity.com and use promo code RADIO to save 10% on your ticket price. Seats are limited, so visit brickcity.com today.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM.